much. So the five co-host, Judge Jeanine Pirro, joins me now. Lydia laid that out beautifully.
She does.
In terms of what is going on. Why is this Keith Schiller call, which we did hear about a bit this morning, then they went back to it this afternoon, so important, Jeanine?
This call on October 24th of 2016 is extremely important because Michael Cohen testified under oath, under penalty of perjury, and we know he doesn't take it seriously, given his history, that he called Keith Schiller to speak with Donald Trump to talk about the Stormy Daniels case. It appears now from text messages and the call logs, when you put them together, Schiller actually told Michael Cohen to call him because Michael Cohen had been complaining about a 14-year-old that's been harassing him. He said he didn't know what to do. Could Schiller stop it? So what Schiller does is he says, call me. So Cohen then calls him, and apparently they have this conversation about the 14-year-old. Now, those text messages were not given to, were not shown on direct. I don't know if they were even given to the defense, but that you would have a witness go in and know that he's going to testify that this is a 1 minute, 36-second phone call I had, and it was with Donald Trump about Stormy Daniels. When the text messages at the same time, Schiller and he are talking about this 14-year-old, that can be the subornation of perjury on the part of the prosecution if they indeed did not give this and hand over these text messages, because it is exculpatory.
So it makes it look as if the prosecution is using that call to say this is the call
key moment
where Trump was made aware that Cohen had paid Stormy Daniels and said, okay, this is done, it's all set. And because they're not giving the context of the text messages that swirl right around that phone call, they are denying the discovery of what was really going on at that time. But it could be that they talked about that for 20 seconds and then they switched over to the Stormy Daniels conversation.
But you know what? That's interpreting a little more than you have to, because within seconds before, minutes before, Keith Schiller says, call me about this kid. Now, let's assume that he talks to him about that Cohen talks to Schiller. He then has to say, let me talk to the boss. Schiller has to say, let me find out if the boss is available to talk to you. Let me find out where the boss is. You know how much time elapses between a discussion of this 14-year-old kid and finding out if the boss is around? Does he have time to talk to me? I mean, it is incredible. And the fact that these text messages were not brought out and that apparently Cohen didn't have them either means that they didn't give it to Cohen, that they were trying to hide something, or maybe it's just a mess up. But this is when my sources in the jury room or in the courtroom tell me that the jurors looked at each other stunned. That's a big moment.
That is a big moment because so much of this hinges on Trump's knowledge of it. But even if he had knowledge of it,
so what?
So what?
So what?
Right? So
Thank
even
you.
if, you know, just for suppose for a moment that was what the content of the call, it still would not constitute breaking the law because an NDA was decided and agreed upon by two adult parties.
And an NDA, as we all know now, is certainly, it's like a civil settlement. It's entered into all the time. And not one person has put Donald Trump anywhere near the bookkeeping, the internal ledgers of the Trump organization. And you know what? You can even argue if it's going to the attorney, it is a legal expense. But no one can prove what Donald Trump's intent was. And Michael Cohen himself said, you know, I kind of did it on my own. Melania would be devastated. Well, where did he get that from? He doesn't have a relationship with Melania. He gets it from Donald Trump. Everything on the prosecution's case has helped the defendant, the former president of the United States.
I thought they did a very good job also this morning of portraying Todd Blanchett, of portraying Michael Cohen as desperate to get back into the good graces of the former president. Denied a job at the White House, you know, thought maybe he could be attorney general, thought he could be chief of staff. Then he says, oh, no, that isn't what I wanted. I wanted a higher paying job than that. I wanted to still be an outside counsel. I guess the jury can decide what they think about that. But there were a couple of pieces of podcasts that were played this morning where he sounds like an absolute lunatic. I mean, he's screaming and yelling about how he wants Donald Trump to pay and to suffer like he did. This one is back from October of 2020, just to give you a sense of what he was himself saying on his podcast, and you can decide for yourself what you think his state is.
I truly hope that this man ends up in prison. It won't bring back the year that I lost or the damage done to my family, but revenge is a dish best served cold. And you better believe I want this man to go down and rot inside for what he did to me and my family.
So the reason they played all this, Judge, as you well know, is to sort of establish that when it served him personally, he was willing to lie about things, right? And then Blanche said, and you want him to go to jail now, too, don't you? In other words, you're under oath, but it would mean a lot to you. You'd be happy if he goes to jail right now. Explain your thoughts on all this.
Well, obviously, I mean, what you have is a guy he is angry. He's angry. Think about it. If he thinks he's Donald Trump's fixer, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump goes to the White House, he's not even asked to go to be part of it. And then we heard also that he couldn't get tickets to the inauguration, and Michael Cohen's daughter said they're walking all over you, or whatever the quote was. I mean, you have a guy who lies when it benefits him, and now he's lying out of revenge and out of his feeling that because he went to jail, Donald Trump should. Here's the bottom line. You went to jail because you perjured yourself. You cheated on your taxes. Did Donald Trump tell you to cheat on your taxes, too? I mean, did Donald Trump tell you to do all the bad things that you've done in your life? So I think that you've got a guy who is emotionally broken. He knows this is the end for him. He's got no law license. He's got no career. He's got nothing. And unless Donald Trump is convicted and then he can ride out as the guy, I convicted Donald Trump, he loses everything. And that's why he is so desperate now. And I think the jury is seeing that if you lie to Congress and you lie to the court, and he's contradicting himself now, then you add Robert Costello to this and you say, oh my gosh, he was going to kill himself. And Costello kept saying, do me a favor, what do you have on Trump? Don't kill yourself. This is a bad witness. Michael Cohen is the linchpin of the prosecution's case. And he is a broken human being who is not credible to me as a matter of law. And what the judge should instruct is if you believe that someone lied about you on one fact, you can assume and disregard his whole testimony.
Well, I'll tell you one thing before we go, and we're going to talk more about Robert Costello in a minute, but the judge, I was looking at the jury, they are very good at deadpan. They are not giving away in any way how they are interpreting Cohen, how they're interpreting all this. They walk in and out of the courtroom, as you saw when you were there. They just beeline right for the door. They're not looking at the former president. They're not looking at Michael Cohen. Very tough to read any sort of emotion from them at this. Some of them are taking notes diligently. Others, I think get a little bored at times, and that happens, of course, better than any of us.
Yes.
So you got to keep the jury's attention all the time and build that story for them. And whether or not that's happening successfully, we'll see. Judge, thank you so much. It's always great to have you here. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.